I've got the top 10 biggest busts in fantasy basketball coming up next on Beat the Odds. Don't go anywhere. Hello, sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of Beat the Odds. I'm going to count down the top 10 biggest busts of this fantasy basketball season. If you like this content, please smash that like button, and a special thanks goes to all of our subscribers who have been watching these videos, as you now account for almost 23% of all viewers. To the other 77% of viewers that haven't yet subscribed, I encourage you to do so, as it helps me create these videos for you. Also, leave a comment on a player that you think deserves to be on this list. This episode is brought to you by Thrive Fantasy Sports. Use the promo code BEATTHEODDS to double your first deposit up to $250. And first-time users get a free square, like tonight. If you bet on Steph Curry to score 1 point, and he does, then you win. Now let's dive right into the list here. Starting at number 10, we have Anthony Edwards. You can get him in the second round in most drafts. He's currently ranked 47 in the Yahoo game. 35 minutes per game this season, 25.5 points, 5.4 rebounds, 5.2 assists, 2.4 threes, 1.2 steals, 0.6 blocks, 3.4 turnovers, on 46% shooting from the field, and 84% from the line. I saw Edwards go in the early second round in most drafts, and sometimes in the first round, as managers, including myself, believe that we are going to see another major jump in his game this season. We have seen some minor gains in his shooting percentages, but he has continued his high turnover ways from last season, and his stocks have actually fallen from 1.8 per game down from 2.3 last year. Edwards is likely still going to be an all-star this year, but unless he cuts down his turnover rate, we'll have a difficult time getting him to return his ADP value. Let's go over to number 9. We have Zion Williamson. You could have got him in the 5th round. He was currently ranked 147 in the game right now. 30 minutes per game this season, 1.9 points, 5.6 rebounds, 4.8 assists, 0.1 threes, 0.9 steals, 0.4 blocks, 2.5 turnovers, on 59 shooting from the field and 65% shooting from the line. Now the question that I have is, can Zion actually get better? Or more importantly, does he have the desire to get better? He's a naturally gifted interior scorer who has taken a secondary playmaking role on the team, but he has a hard time staying on the court for more than 30 minutes a night, and he's been sorely lacking in the hustle stats. Toss in a good amount of turnovers and his atrocious free throw shooting, and it's no surprise that Zion won't crack the top 100 players by season's end. But hey, at least he's healthy, right? Over to number 8 we go, Paolo Banchero. 6th round, you could have got him in this season. He's currently ranked 182 in the game. 35 minutes per game this season, 22.5 points, 7 rebounds, 4.8 assists, 1.4 threes, 1 steal, 0.6 blocks, 3.2 turnovers, on 45% shooting from the field and 70% from the line. There is an NBA roster build that's emerging where teams don't employ a traditional point guard in favor of running offense through one of their bigs. This could be a result of both Jokic and Embiid dominating teams, but both Philadelphia and Denver have capable guards that play Robin to their Batman. Banchero does not. Franz Wagner is essentially Paolo's double, but since Franz has a better shooting splits and turns the ball half as much as Paolo does, he's become the Magic's top player in fantasy and not Paolo Banchero. Let's go to number 7. We have DeAndre Ayton. 6th round, you could have got him in this season. He's currently ranked 94 in the game. 31 minutes per game this season, 12.5 points, 10.3 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 1 steal, 0.7 blocks, 2 turnovers, on 53% shooting from the field and 76% from the line. Ayton was a highly sought-after center for many teams during the draft, as a trade to Portland seemingly landed him in a great position for fantasy purposes. He just hasn't been dominating since being moved to Portland, and it's been a common theme for players on this list to have an abnormally high turnover rate, and Ayton is no exception. I also expected more than a low-end double-double from him to this point. The back half of the season will be interesting to see if he can prove to be a bigger part of the Portland offense. Let's go to number 6. We have Mikal Bridges. 3rd round is kind of where you could land him in drafts this year. Currently ranked 70th in the game. 35 minutes per game this season, 21.7 points, 5.2 rebounds, 3.8 assists, 2.3 threes, 0.9 steals, 0.5 blocks, 2.3 turnovers, on 46% shooting from the field and 84% from the line. Many were expecting Mikal to take another leap forward as a clear number 1 option on offense for the Nets. Few were expecting Mikal's play to be overshadowed by fellow namesake Miles Bridges. Mikal has been good, but he's another player that we were simply expecting more from. We have seen a precipitous drop in Bridges' percentages and stocks from last season, likely since he's had a harder time adjusting to being the team's best offensive player. Let's move to number 5. We have Josh Giddey. 7th round is where you could have found him in drafts this year. Currently ranked 165th in the game. 25 minutes per game this season, 11.7 points, 6.2 rebounds, 4.6 assists, 3.7 steals, 0.4 blocks, 2.1 turnovers on 45% shooting from the field, and 81% from the line. Now, when a team stockpiles young talent, there is a concern that as a talent begins to mature within the structure of the team, that there's not going to be enough minutes to go around. After arguably being the second option on the Thunder's team here last season, Giddey is now the fourth option on this year's squad, which has led him to losing over 6 minutes of floor time a night. As a result, his counting stats have all taken a hit right across the board, and I don't really see anything changing this season as OKC is, of course, cruising in the standings. Let's move over to number 4. We have Jalen Green. You could have had him in the 9th round in drafts. He's currently ranked 237 in the game, 30 minutes per game this season, 17.1 points, 4.6 rebounds, 3.2 assists, 2 threes, 0.6 steals, 0.3 blocks, 2.2 turnovers, on 40% shooting from the field and 80% from the line. Green was one of the worst shooters on one of the worst teams in the league last season. Many of us overlooked that for the fact that he was still a focal point in the Rockets' offense. This season tells a different tale altogether. With capable reinforcements and an offense centered around Alperen Sengun, Green's spotlight has dimmed and has caused a reduction of 4 minutes a night. Couple that with his sub-40 field goal percentage, and it's no wonder why he has been tanking fantasy teams all season long. Let's go to number 3. We have Andrew Wiggins. You could get them in the 10th round in drafts here to start the year. He's currently ranked 347th in the game. 26 minutes per game over the season, 11.9 points, 4.2 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 0.9 threes, 0.3 steals, 0.4 blocks, 1.4 turnovers on 42% shooting from the field and 69% from the line. Now let's face it, Wiggins has not been the same player since he returned from his absence last season. He's averaging career lows in minutes per game, 3-point percentage, assists, steals, blocks, and points this season. If he was the defensive stopper that he was known to be, he wouldn't have seen his role relegated to the bench. Now he is posting fringe roster-worthy counting stats on horrible percentages. Wiggins has officially gone from universally owned to having his ownership hover around the 50% mark. At number 2 we go. We have Jordan Poole. You could have got him in the 7th round. He's currently ranked 166 in the game. 29 minutes per game this season, 16.7 points, 2.3 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 2 threes, 1 steal, 0.3 blocks, 2.2 turnovers on 41% shooting from the field and 87% from the line. Now, was Poole supposed to be the number 1 option on a Washington team that was expected to compete for draft position this year? That was what most of us were hoping for when we selected Poole in the middle of rounds in the draft this season. What we have seen from him this year confirms the reasoning behind why the Warriors shipped him out to begin with. When you're counted on to score and do little else, then you need to be good at scoring. At 41% from the field, that's just not going to cut it. And finally, at number 1, we have Scoot Henderson. You could have gotten him in the 9th round in most drafts. He's currently ranked 392 in the game. 27 minutes per game this season, 12.4 points, 3.1 rebounds, 4.8 assists, 1.2 threes, 0.6 steals, 0.2 blocks, 3.2 turnovers on 37% shooting from the field and 76% from the line. This season, with the craze surrounding Wembanyama and to some extent Holmgren to start the year, there was more value to be found in the rookie class, and most saw Scoot as a great candidate to reward managers, especially with the departure of Damian Lillard. What has resulted, though, has been catastrophic. Scoot has been a wrecking ball to many 9-cat fantasy teams, destroying percentages and turnovers while offering little else across the board. He deserves to be left on the waiver wire until further notice. And that's going to do it here for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video and, of course, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I am going to sign off for now, but I'll catch you guys on our next episode.